The alien pet was deadly until the human student taught it to sit. The Interspecies Academy Xenobiology Department had seen many incidents over the years, but nothing quite like the arrival of Kethmore's pet. Sarah Martinez watched from across the dormitory common area as the massive Thraxian unpacked what appeared to be a containment unit the size of a shuttle engine. Kethmore's chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial lighting as his forearms worked with mechanical precision, his compound eyes scanning the warning labels plastered across the container. "What exactly is that?" asked Veltar, a nervous Alterian whose crystalline features reflected his anxiety in prismatic flashes. "Zephyrian Stalker," Kethmore announced proudly, his translator rendering his clicking mandibles into standard galactic. "Bred for combat on my homeworld. Perfectly legal as companion animal according to Academy regulations." Sarah nearly choked on her synthetic coffee. She had read about Zephyrian stalkers in Professor Hendrix's Advanced Predator Studies course. Native to the death worlds of the Outer Rim, they were living weapons. 2 meters of pure muscle, razor-sharp claws, and predatory intelligence. Their homeworld's gravity was 3 times galactic standard, making them impossibly strong by most species measurements. "Kethmore," Sarah said carefully, "are you sure bringing a Class A predator into student housing is a good idea?" The Thraxian's mandibles clicked in what she had learned to recognize as amusement. "Worry not, soft human. Raxith is well trained. He responds to all basic commands in Thraxian battle cant." As if summoned by its name, the creature emerged from its transport container. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The stalker was even more impressive in person. Sleek obsidian fur covering a frame built for killing, 6 legs ending in claws that could shred steel plating, and a head that was all teeth and cold intelligence. Its eyes, a disturbing shade of electric blue, swept the room and fixed on each student in turn, clearly cataloging threats and prey. The other students began backing away. Even the normally confident Gornath exchanged nervous glances. "Raxith, assume guard position," Kethmore commanded in his native tongue. The stalker moved to its master's side but remained standing, its muscles coiled like springs. Its gaze never stopped moving, never stopped hunting. "Beautiful, is he not?" Kethmore preened. "His bloodline traces back to the legendary pack that defended the Crystal Citadel during the Void Wars." Sarah studied the creature with growing concern. She had spent her childhood on Earth's animal reserves, helping her veterinarian mother care for everything from wounded wolves to rescued tigers. She recognized the signs. This was not a trained companion. This was a barely contained predator tolerating commands through fear or conditioning, not understanding or bond. Over the next few days, the situation deteriorated rapidly. Raxith refused to eat the processed nutrition blocks provided by the Academy. Instead, he stalked the corridors at night, his hunting instincts triggered by the scurrying sounds of smaller species going about their business. 3 Skleet students filed formal complaints after finding claw marks gouged into their dormitory doors. The Academy's maintenance drones reported multiple malfunctions, actually Raxith attacking anything that moved unexpectedly. "It's getting worse," Veltar confided to Sarah during their morning quantum mechanics lecture. "Last night I swear I heard it trying to break down the Uridian twins' door. They've been too terrified to leave their room." Sarah nodded grimly. She had been watching Kethmore's increasingly frantic attempts to control his pet. The Thraxian would bark commands in his harsh native tongue, and Raxith would comply for a few moments before his attention wandered back to more interesting prey. The crisis came to a head during the Academy's monthly cultural exchange dinner. The Great Hall buzzed with hundreds of conversations in dozens of languages, as students from across the galaxy shared their traditional foods. Sarah was explaining Earth's pizza concept to a fascinated group of Zephyrians when the screaming started. Raxith had somehow escaped Kethmore's room and wandered into the dining hall, drawn by the sounds and scents of so many potential prey animals, gathered in one place. The stalker's predatory instincts kicked into overdrive as he saw dozens of smaller species running in panic. The creature's hunting sequence activated with terrifying efficiency. He dropped into a crouch, muscles bunching as he selected his first target. a young pixie student whose flight response had triggered his chase reflex. "Raxith, halt!" Kethmore's voice cracked as he rushed into the hall, but the stalker was beyond commands now, lost in predatory focus. Security would take minutes to arrive. The pixie student would be dead in seconds. Sarah didn't hesitate. "Hey!" she called out, stepping directly between the stalker and his intended prey. "Raxith, look at me!" The creature's head snapped toward her, electric blue eyes fixing on this new challenger. Sarah could see the calculation happening behind those alien features, evaluating threat level, determining if she was prey or competition. What the stalker saw was a small, soft creature barely half his size with no visible weapons or armor. Easy prey. What he didn't understand was that Sarah had spent years working with Earth's apex predators, learning their psychology and behavior patterns. She had hand-raised wolf cubs, rehabilitated injured bears, and even worked with the great cats at the Serengeti Preserve. And she knew the universal truth about predators. They all responded to the same fundamental principles. Sarah dropped to one knee and extended her hand, palm up, in a gesture of non-aggression that transcended species barriers. "Raxith," she said firmly, her voice carrying the calm authority she had learned from years of animal training. "Sit." The stalker paused, confusion flickering across his features. The command was in galactic standard, not Thraxian battle cant. But more importantly, Sarah's body language, tone, and positioning were sending signals that bypassed language entirely. "Good boy," Sarah continued, maintaining eye contact but keeping her posture relaxed and confident. "You're just scared and confused, aren't you? New place, new smells, no pack structure to follow." She had noticed what everyone else had missed. Raxith wasn't aggressive. He was anxious, removed from his natural pack hierarchy and dropped into an environment full of unfamiliar stimuli. The creature was defaulting to predatory behavior as a stress response. "Raxith," she repeated, this time with a subtle hand gesture that every Earth mammal would recognize as a calming signal. "Sit." The stalker's haunches touched the floor. The dining hall fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Hundreds of alien eyes watched as the deadly predator obeyed a command from the small human female. But Sarah wasn't finished. "Good boy," she said, reaching slowly into her jacket pocket. She pulled out a piece of synthesized protein from her. Emergency rations. Nothing fancy, but it smelled like the game birds she used to feed the rehabilitation animals back home. She tossed it gently toward Raxith, who caught it reflexively and swallowed. "Sit," she said again. And again the stalker complied. Another treat followed. Within 10 minutes, Sarah had the most dangerous predator in the academy performing basic obedience commands for protein snacks, his tail-like appendage actually wagging slightly each time he received praise. "How?" Kethmore's voice was barely a whisper. He was trained by the finest beastmasters on Thrax Prime. Battle conditioned since birth, Sarah stood slowly, keeping one hand where Raxith could see it. The stalker remained seated, watching her with something that looked almost like hope. "That's the problem," she explained gently. "You trained him to be a weapon, not a companion. He doesn't understand pack hierarchy or social bonding, just dominance and submission through fear." She gestured toward the still-sitting predator. "Look at his body language. He's not being aggressive. He's been stressed and anxious since he arrived. When creatures like this get overwhelmed, they revert to their most basic instincts." "But the commands were in a language that meant nothing to him emotionally," Sarah interrupted. "Commands work, but only if there's a relationship behind them. Trust, understanding. On Earth, we learned thousands of years ago that you can't truly domesticate something through force alone." She pulled out another protein snack and held it out to Raxith. "Stay," she commanded. And the stalker remained perfectly still as she approached and hand-fed him the treat. The dining hall erupted in amazed chatter as species throughout the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented, a human forming a bond with one of the most dangerous predators known to galactic civilization. Professor Zithkar arrived with security just in time to see Sarah scratching behind Raxith's auditory receptors. while the creature's eyes half closed in contentment. Extraordinary, the Vorthak muttered, his scales shifting through several colors of scientific fascination. The psychological principles are so simple, yet we never thought to try them, Kethmore finished, his compound eyes studying Sarah with new respect. On Thrax Prime we forge weapons, we do not befriend them. Sarah looked up from where she was teaching Raxth to shake hands with his front paw. Everything responds to kindness and consistency if you approach it the right way. Even apex predators need to feel safe and understood. Over the following weeks, Sarah worked with both Raxith and Kethmore, teaching the Thraxian how to build an actual relationship with his companion,